Hello folks, back am I, DJ here, DJ DH of the Eclectic channel, and I welcome you all to this channel, and please do not resist making your comments at the end of this. Subscribe to the channel if you wish to get more and more information from me, and also press that like button. Okay, so let's move on to the subject of the day. And this morning it's afternoon already. Okay, so it's 20 past midday. I didn't realize. I've been busy all day. So okay, Britain is in a state of anarchy, and a quiet civil war is going on unnoticed by the majority of the population, and it's going to be on this way until it's too late. The chairman of Dewsbury Conservatives has been targeted, his car was torched, and many more potential and actual voters targeted by gangsters, Muslim gangsters. If they do not vote for the Muslim candidate, Mohammed Iqbal Hussain, he did get in by the way. Now Mr Ghaffur, he's the chairman of the Dewsbury Conservatives, said he had to move out of his property with his family, and now has a panic button to the local police. It's been fitted in his home. But he's not alone. Mohammed Akram is 33, said his sister, her husband and her baby had been subject to such attacks at their home in Dewsbury while they were breaking their fast after the Ramadan. At 4:15 a.m. in the morning in last March of this year, 2025, her husband goes out to take the rubbish to the bins and sees his garden fence on fire. At that time, it wasn't a big thing, but if he had not seen it, the whole fence leads to the house, and it could have been set the house on fire, he said. The police arrived to investigate the arson attack, offered to move them out, but they decided to remain in the house, and with a panic button fitted to alert the police to any further threats. Officers are understood to have made 3 subsequent arrests, including all the supporters of Mr Mohammed. Now, Mr Mohammed, I'll tell you about him, is the politician who did get elected. Now, it was the second arson attack on the family after a prized antique Mitsubishi L200 4x4 belonging to Mohammed Akram's father was set alight in January of this year. Again, it was in the early morning, and they were only alerted to it when the milkman saw the vehicle on fire during his morning round. Wish we had milkmen. We don't have that milkman anymore. Anyway, after voicing their suspicions as to who had behind the attacks to the police, Mr Akram claimed he received a phone call threatening more violence. How about former textile worker Tayyub Khan Tayyub? He's 81. Saw his car being set alight during the night by a suspected arsonist from his own bedroom last October 2024. There was a big flash, a big bang, he said. I was amazed how the person who did it did not burn his eyes and his face. He came out from underneath my car and started running. If something had happened to my house, we would have all been burnt. Khan Tayyub, 81, as I say, he said he came as a child from Pakistan. He's been here 65 years. And he says, I was 100% certain that I would be safer in this country, more than anywhere else. Now I have no faith that I will be. It's like a third world country, he said. Wow. Now I'm going to tell you some more about this, because this is frightening, isn't it? You know, people having their houses set on fire. Why? Mr Akram said he could have been targeted by a crime gang who wrongly blamed him for letting police search a lockup he was managing. It contained 30 kilograms of Class A drugs and cash, which police seized, resulting in the prosecution of gang members. According to Mr Ghaffur, he's the Dewsbury chairman, as I said, the Conservatives, a successful barrister who owned the unit, has also had his £250,000 Lamborghini set on fire and wrecked at his Dewsbury home. One of the members of the organised crime group was Rizwan Arif, who is a supporter, and you've guessed it, of Mr. Mohammed, the councillor that got elected. Arif was jailed for 9.5 years in June of this year for his role as the money man or the accountant for the organised crime group which supplied heroin and cocaine around the UK. So you can see what sort of people are doing these deeds. Now the Telegraph newspaper have obtained a social media post from Mr. Arif from July the 4th last year, in which he urged voters to support Mr. Mohammed, showing a photoshopped image of the ballot paper with a purple arrow pointing to where they got to put their X, where the Muslims have got to put their X against this independent member of parliament. Remember, he got elected. He's a member of the parliament. There's 4 of them got elected, all pro-Hamas and anti-Israel. In a separate Facebook post on the May the 3rd of last year, Arif also hailed the electoral victory for an independent councillor in Dewsbury West in the local elections, across the top which said, "The fight is ours, victory is Allah's." Mr. Gaffer, the Conservative, you've forgotten the Conservative chairman of Dewsbury, he said the amount of people, homes, cars, businesses that have been attacked, we need to call it out for what it is: terrorism, in the use of threat of violence, often against civilians who instill fear and achieve political, religious and ideological aims. This is why I said at the top, we are in a civil war without realising. They are getting elected by violence, threats of violence, actual violence against property and persons, based on to achieve their political, religious and ideological aims. Mr. Mohammed, now we'll let him counter this. He's had these accusations. So let's, excuse me, let's hear what he's got to say. Mr. Mohammed, he countered the accusations with saying he was proud of his election campaign. It was a clean and grassroots campaign that focused on the issues faced by my constituents in Dewsbury and Batley, our country and Conservative and Labour Party support for the genocide in Palestine, he said in a statement to the Telegraph. It was a victory over our country and over their Conservative and Labour Party because of their support for the genocide in Palestine. Now, what genocide in? Well, he's talking about Israel fighting back after the October the 3rd, 2023, when Hamas attacked and killed those people at that outdoor concert. He didn't think they should retaliate. Wow. What do we make of it? The sparks from a war between Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah. Keir Starmer, he said, light the touch papers in our own communities here at home, because Israel and the Middle East have a deep relationship with multicultural society. That was his words. Because Israel and the Middle East have a deep relationship with a multicultural society. So from a politician who refuses to question mass immigration, denies any problems caused by the consensus policy of multiculturalism, and braves the mantra that diversity is our greatest strength. This is a remarkable confession. But no intelligent analysis or change in policy followed. Every Saturday since that terrible day, The streets of central, I'm talking about the October the 3rd massacre of the Israelis and the rape of those women and the burning of babies in ovens and the mutilation of women. And there was killing of men as well, of course. And there was boys that was raped. Don't forget that. So ever since then, every Saturday, since that terrible day, the streets of central London have been filled with marchers protesting against Israel. Many have demanded the destruction of the world's only Jewish state and genocide against its citizens. From the streets to the universities, Jews have been driven from public debate. Anti-Semitism has spiked and the state has fallen short. Government has not acted. Senior police officers explain that they cannot seek a ban on the marches because the Public Order Act of 1986 says the legal threshold for a ban is prevention of serious public disorder. But they also explain that they avoid arresting lawbreakers on the spot because doing so would risk serious public disorder. So if they're avoiding arrests because it would risk serious public order, then obviously this threshold they say stops them has been reached anyway and overreached anyway. So they want it both ways. Well, we can't act because of the Public Order Act, but until it's been broken. Oh, it's been broken, but we can't arrest because it would cause more disorder. What on earth is going on with the Metropolitan Police? They're already in remedial acts against them. They're being investigated and told to improve. Instead of wading into the crowd, the police say they prefer to film people engaged in public order offences and make arrests later. But this is the problem, because visible law breaking encourages others to join in, destroys public trust and confidence, and in the case of the marches, radicalises those already tempted by extremism. The police say they share the blame, but it's hard to argue it's all their fault, for they are operating along fault lines of a society divided by racial, religious and non-British national identities. The divisions are made worse by fashionable ideology. Multiculturalism promotes separation and differences. Critical race theory denigrates our life in common and encourages sub- and supranational identity corporatism, and is used by the state to mediate between what Starmer quaintly calls our communities. Our communities? Try going in some of these places. I used to be an housing officer for a university in Birmingham, and I couldn't put female students into certain areas because of the fear of being attacked, being groomed, of being raped. I couldn't put them in. I tried it. I had a phone call one night from a girl in a phone box, crying and screaming because it was surrounded by Pakistani Muslim young men, and I said, "You shouldn't have rang me. You should have rang the police. I'll ring them now." And I rang the police and told them where she was, and they did rescue her. Fortunately, it's not done. Anyway, I've gone off my subject, haven't I? Well, not really, but since October the 7th, 2023, we have seen where identity corporatism gets us. The police have explained away Islamists chanting for jihad against Israel, ignored those calling for a global intifada, and denied the true genocidal intent of the protesters chanting for Palestinian state that runs from the river to the sea. They think, oh, well, we don't. It's complicated. We don't really know what that means. We do, so why don't they? Do you know, when I'm doing these things, and it really sort of makes me speechless, but I'm going to continue and speak. The Metropolitan Police and the Crown Prosecution Service have been advised during operations by known Hamas supporters. West Midlands Police explained its absence during violent disorder by gangs of Muslim men because we had the opportunity to meet with community leaders to understand the style of policing we needed to deliver. They're absent from... I'm going to go through that one again because it's West Midlands Police explained its absence during violent disorders by gangs of Muslim men because we had the opportunity to meet community leaders to understand the style of policing we needed to deliver. The style of policing that you needed to deliver against violent disorder is go in strong and arrest them. No need to have meetings with community leaders. The police are the most prominent practitioners of identifying identity corporatism, but they may just be the most visible. Behind closed doors, the National Health Service and the local councils work closely and provide public funding for mosques, the host preachers who give sermons that in other contexts would land them in prison. They say it in the mosque, but if they said it outside, they would land them in prison. And they're being funded by the local councils, who are mostly all bankrupt, and the National Health Service. That's where our tax money is going. Wow. The Ministry of Defence. Get this. The Ministry of Defence uses the Muslim Council of Britain, supposedly banned by the government, to appoint military imams, religious leaders for the Muslim faith. This Muslim Council of Britain charitable foundation runs a centre for media monitoring, an organisation seemingly dedicated to pursuing the media into accepting Muslim Council of Britain narratives. The foundation received more than 3/4 of its recent funding from the department. Wait for it. 3/4 of their money for the Muslim Council of Britain comes from the Department of Work and Pensions. Really? It was part of the Kickstart scheme, which was created to fund young people. It's now defunct, so they've closed that down. Much more is corrupted. A judge who let 3 women guilty of glorifying Hamas terrorism escape a custodial sentence was found to have liked a social media post attacking Israel. A judge was found to put like I asked you to like mine, on a social media post attacking Israel. So he allowed 3 women off for glorifying Hamas terrorism and escape a custodial service, and then you find out he's also against Israel. The BBC has been accused by its own former director of television for fueling the flames of anti-Semitism with its partisan coverage of the conflict. Even Parliament surrendered to the mob when earlier this year the Speaker tore up the rule book to allow Labour amendment calling for ceasefire in Gaza. Many MPs have threatened with violence if they do not vote the way the extremists demand. I apologise, I said earlier this year, I meant earlier last year. After the general election, Labour should have realised that appeasement never works. It lost 5 seats to the independent candidates campaigning against Israel, and ministers including Wes Streeting, Shabana Mahood and Jess Phillips almost lost their seats too. Streeting blamed a deep fake audio recording in which he supposedly dismissed the deaths of Palestinian civilians. Jess Phillips, learning nothing from the intimidation she says occurred in her election campaign, seemingly excused the violence of Muslim vigilantes during the disorder of this summer. She blamed the intimidation, the violent intimidation that occurred during her election campaign that nearly lost her a seat, and then denies it when she did get through. Rubbish, short-sightedness, and an ideology that does not work. Whatever the denials of the likes of Jess Phillips, the sectarian division in our country is plain to see. So too is the failure of successive governments to control immigration. They demand integration and stand up to the ideologies that foster division, our enemies, those extremists who work towards the destruction of our way of life. Have understood how to identify the corporatism game. Those we entrust to protect our society and defend our culture are too weak, too apologetic, and too relativist to stand up to them. They may be blinded by ideology, too proud to admit the failure of their worldview, or too frightened of the violence to tell the truth. But in the 21 months since the October the 7th, 2023 attacks have shown not only the sectarian reality of modern Britain, but the complicity of our state in the problem. The longer we take to confront the truth, the harder it will be to save ourselves from the fires we ourselves began. We have set up ourselves to be overrun by Sharia councils, by anti-British, anti-Muslim, anti-Jewish, anti-Hebrew sections that we've allowed into our country. They've refused to integrate. They have refused to obey our laws. Our prisons are full of Muslims, way over the amount. There's supposed to be only 5% of Muslims in Britain. I think it's a bit more, but I believe there's 17% of the whole population of our prisons is Muslim. So from 5% of the population, but 17% of the prison population. We are hearing more and more now of these boat people coming in, being in the country for just a few days and being arrested for horrific rapes of our ladies, of our girls, of our women. We're hearing of them doing shoplifting, bag thefts, of being housed in hotels free of charge, being fed, being given telephones, mobile phones, expensive ones, free of all charge, and playing us for the fool because they're asking, they're receiving, and they're giving nothing back. This is where we're going, ladies and gentlemen. This is the problem with Britain today. We have got to take a grasp with both hands of what's going on in Britain today. Our politicians have got to start representing our wishes, not the wishes of illegal immigrants. We've got to think, do we wish to be a country based on Christian principles of equality, of charity, of loving kindness, or do we wish to be a country that screams from the rivers to the sea, genocidal against Israel? Comments, please. Make your comments. Press the like button and do subscribe. It helps me. So in the meantime, I'm going to wish you all a great day, a good day, and safety and health. Bye for now. Bye.